Good afternoon. Welcome back. Module 5 is going to start to seem a little interminable to you, and that's because we're working on Part 4 right now. Module 5, of course, is about documents related to welding inspection, and our topic today is the 1104 code. As I said at the very beginning of this class, when you choose to go and take your CWI exam, you have a number of different welding codes that you can pick from in order to do the open book portion of the test. Remember, there's three sections to the test. There's the 150 questions fundamentals exam. There's the 46 question Part B exam, which we will do near the end of the semester. And then there's the 46 question open book code exam. So today's lesson will go over that code and how to look up answers. So before we get started, let me just show you the one that we're going to use is here. Welding of pipelines and related facilities, API standard 1104. Now this is the 18th edition. This is old. This is out of print now, and this was first issued in May 1994. So we're able to use it for teaching purposes, and the copy that you're going to have will have to be returned at the end of the semester. And as I said, we're using the 18th edition. So if you plan on using the API 1104 code to take your open book portion of the exam, you're going to have to relate what I'm talking about to the newer edition. At this time, I believe they're still using the 19th and 20th edition, but you may have to be looking at the 20th edition and just extrapolating everything that I'm talking about over to the 20th edition. What we're going to do with this code, one thing about understanding the code and finding your way around the code is to do what's called a roadmap. That is, we're going to tab it and we're going to highlight certain parts of it to make it easy to find information, to retrieve information. The video tells you how many sections are in this book, and there are 10 sections, beginning with the general, where it has the scope, definition of terms, and so forth. Section 2 deals with qualification of welding procedures containing additives. So this would be our WPS and our PQR things that we talked about in Part 3 of this lesson. Section 3 is the weld. So that's what we're going to discuss here. Then over on Section 4 we have design and preparations of a joint for production welding. Section 5 is the inspection and testing of production welding. Section 6 is the acceptance standards for non-destructive testing. Section 7 is repair and removal of defects. Section 8 is procedures for non-destructive testing. Section 9 is automatic welding. And then Section 10 is automatic welding without filler metal additions. And then we have a variety of figures and tables and so forth in the appendices. In your student packet, you should have found a copy of this paper. It says API 1104 tabbing instructions. Also in your student packet, you should have received a little package of tabs. There's 16 in this one. And what I want you to do is follow the directions on this handout and put a tab everywhere that it's indicated on this paper. So we're going to tab the forward. So go to your book and find the forward right here. And we're going to put a tab on that page. Then I want you to tab the table of contents. So you're going to flip the page, and here's where the table of contents start. So you're going to put a tab on the first page of the table of contents. It's really easy to answer these 46 questions if you can find the information quickly. Remember, there's a 2-hour time limit for answering those 46 questions. So after that, we want you to tab the figures and tables on the contents page. And that would be right down here, figures, tables, and then tab each section. We said there were 10 sections. Put a tab by each section so you'll know where to find it. And then finally, tab the appendix page. And the appendix page is all the way in the back. It begins on page 47. So here's one that was done last year, and you can see this student has a number of tabs. Here we have the foreword. Then we have a table of contents, figures and tables, sections 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5, section 6. And you notice he's got section 5 and section 6 on the same page. That's because section 5 is only half a page long. And then section 6 begins on the same page. Then we have section 7, section 7 and 8, because we have the same thing here. Section 7 is only half a page long, and then section 8 begins there. Then we have section 9, section 10, and then the appendices. So, I believe that's something like 13 or 14 tabs. So take a few minutes to go ahead and tab your book, following the directions on your handout, and when you're done, we'll come back and we'll continue our lesson. Welcome back once more. At this time, you should have your API 1104 book tabbed, and that's going to bring us to our second handout. And what this is, it says API 1104 highlights. And you'll notice it says paragraphs. And what we need to do now is go through the 1104 book that you have, and we have to locate these paragraphs and highlight them. So let's take a look at the first one. It says paragraph 1.1. Okay, so we're going to take our book and we're going to open it up. And if we go to the contents, we see that 1.1 is on page 1. So I'll turn to page 1. And then our instructions say to highlight that. So we want to highlight this topic right here where it says scope, all the way down here. And we're going to stop at definition of terms. So this would be paragraph 1.1. Highlight all of that. And you should have had a highlighter included in your student packet. If you didn't, then see whoever is administering this module and ask them for a highlighter if you don't have one. So highlight that. And then, once that is done, we're going to highlight paragraph 1.2.2.10. So just look on down here. Our next topic is topic 1.2. And we'll just go down and find 1.22, 1.22. Here we have 1.2.2.10. So now we're going to highlight that paragraph here. And in the same manner then, I want you to go through the entire code book and highlight everything that is on this highlight sheet. And as you're going through there now, some of these things say it's signified as being on a test, and some of them signify as being on practical test. To the most part, that's accurate, but some of those things will change as the test develops through the years. Some of those things will change a bit, so you can ignore that. And when you're finished, then come on back and we'll talk about what the test actually is. Now your code book should be tabbed and highlighted, and you can see there's quite a bit of highlighting in here. One thing I want to point out in the code book is that year to year it changes. It's a living document, and it changes to suit the needs of industry. And whenever a change is made, for example, take a look at the foreword. Whenever a change is made, there is a solid black line placed in the paragraph to alert your attention to the fact that this is different from the previous issue. So as you go through this code book and you see these lines, you'll know that it's different from what happened in the 17th edition. And if you're dealing in the 19th edition, there's going to be more of this, or in the 20th edition. It's a living document, as I say, and it's going to change over time. Over here on this page, we have a solid black line over here, black line here, here, here. So watch for those changes. Even if you are familiar with this code book, as I say, it's going to change, and they want you to be aware of the changes that have been made to each new edition. Now, we're going to do a 46-question open book code test, and this mimics the one that you would take for your CWI exam. So you should have had something like this. It says API 1104 Code Open Book Exam. There's 46 questions on there, and I'm just going to read the first one. It says, for welder qualification, test specimens shall be prepared for tensile strength, nick break, and bend tests. When tensile strength tests are omitted, what happens? So what we want to do is go into the book and look up that information. So we know from the key words in the question that we're dealing with welder qualification. So you'll go to your contents, and section 3 is qualification of welders. So what's it say? It says, test specimens shall be prepared for tensile, strength, nick break, and bend tests. So we want to go down here, and we're going to find, here we go, tensile, strength, nick break, and bend test procedures for butt welds. And it says paragraph 3.5.2 on page 19. So let's flip to page 19. And here we go. 3.5.2, tensile strength, nick break, and bend test procedures for butt welds. It says the specimen shall be prepared for tensile strength, nick break, and bend tests, and the test shall be performed as described in 2.6. So it's referring us back to another section, another paragraph. And it says the tensile strength test may be omitted, in which case the specimens designated for this test shall be subjected to the nick break. So under the code, typically it'll say 2 nicks, 2 tensils, and two root bends. But if we want to omit that, that's okay. But we'll have to take those 2 tensils and we'll do nick breaks out of them. So now we're going to do 4 nicks instead of 2 and 2. So our question then was, when tensile strength tests are omitted, we know that the answer here then would be D. Tensile strength specimens shall be subject to the nick break test. So when you answer this question, you're going to circle D, but in addition to that, I want you to list the paragraph where it was found. So paragraph and the page. So it was found on 3.5.2, page 19. And every question will be answered in that manner. You're going to read the question, find its multiple choice answer, and then I want you to record on your test what the paragraph number is and what page you found it on. When you're all done with this, review it, and you can take it home and take a couple of weeks to do it. We're in no rush. And then send it back to me, and I will correct it, and again, I will return it to you so that you'll know how you did. And at the end of the semester, I would like them returned. And as far as your grade goes, this is basically going to be practice, and there's going to be another test that I'm going to send home, and it too will be an open book test, and that will be an extra credit test. So this test, studying that we're doing right now, not only will prepare you for the 1104 code test, if that's the one you choose to use, but it's also going to be an extra credit exam, an extra credit opportunity for you. So right now we're just trying to learn our way through the code book, and I think if you follow the instructions here, tab everything, highlight everything, answer the questions, the 46 questions that we're sitting home with you, you'll be in good shape to answer the extra credit questions and give yourself an opportunity to bump your grade up. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me, and that's about it. Thank you.